I do want to talk about my guys here, some of the players I brought. Before I do, though, I want to put a little pressure on them and let them know that the last 2 years, the Player of the Year was at this meeting and spoke to you guys. So one of these three right here could very well be on that stage, and it's an expectation now. So if not, they won't be back again. Now, make sure I don't go too long here, because I do want you to get a chance to talk to these guys. I brought three of our most quality players. We have an unbelievable team right now from a lot of aspects. And it's going to be one of the favorite teams that I've had the honor of coaching. And for some of those reasons is because it's my first class that came in with me here. And they're going to have been under my program from a freshman all the way through the senior year. So it's very special for me. And it's always more special when you got guys that can play. You know, the better you are, coaches enjoy that. But we are very excited, and I've thought about several things that we could talk about or I could share with you about this team. It's a very special team, from not only the talent standpoint, but it's a special team because of what they have gone through in those years of growth. And in our program, we try to apply things through what we do to help them develop into young men and understand the magnitude of what they represent, even right now in their life. We try to make those connections. And I was thinking about that, and for this year, and as we know, this has been a chaotic year, and whenever there's so many unforeseen and unknowns, there's one word that kind of sticks out to me for this team, and that is focus. And focus for this team means a lot of things, but for this team specifically, I want them to have goals. We talk about our guys and we have meetings and leadership meetings about setting goals. But it's not just, it doesn't end there. And I don't like for you to set a goal and then work to achieve it, and then at the end just evaluate success if you got it and failure if you didn't, because there's so many things that affect that goal. And some of our guys will have a goal that I don't want to play JV, I want to make the varsity team. Well, it sounds like a really good goal, but I ultimately control that. So it's really lets them off the hook and it's out of their hands. What I want them to do is develop the process to achieve that goal. And I want them to hold themselves accountable to that. So we call those things controllables. And it's like, I played at Tusculum, as he alluded to, and every year a Division II school, you get one or two opportunities to really challenge yourself against a big school. And we had a chance in 2007 to go down to the University of Tennessee. And, just like a team is, we're pumped up, we're excited. We're going to show that we can hold our own with this team. And this was a very, very good Tennessee team. This is under Bruce Pearl. They had stars, Chris Lofton. They had Juwan Jennings, Tyler Smith, Wayne Chisholm. That was a really, really fun group. So we get ready and we're getting on this big charter bus and we're going down to the game. And the charter that we have is a guy that drove us to all our games, and he's just a typical dad. He knows where he's going. He's going to get there. He don't need the turn-by-turn directions. He's going to find out. He's been at Thompson Bowling 100 times. He knows how to get there. So we get on this bus and we start going down the road, and we got our headphones in, and all of a sudden Coach comes back there and, guys, go ahead and start putting your stuff on. Looks like we're lost. What do you mean we're lost? We're going to Knoxville. Who doesn't know how to get to Thompson Bowling? Well, what had happened was our driver that knew exactly where he was going and was too prideful to get turn-by-turn directions was on the other side of the river, going back and forth. We're on the other side of the Tennessee River looking at Thompson Bowling as we drive by. 3, 4. I think we've been on this street before. This is not the right road. So we keep going around and around and around in circles, and finally we walk into that arena with 17 minutes until tip-off. Typically you get to the arena an hour and a half. You've got time to go in the locker room and get ready and tape, and you do all the other stuff. You go out and shoot, and then you go in the locker room, you come back out with your team. Yeah, 17 minutes till tip-off. So here we go, and it just leads me to my point of I don't want my guys to have the goal of the destination as their only guiding light. I want them to have the turn-by-turn directions. What are your controllables that get you to your destination? It's great to have a goal. It's great to have something you're going to achieve as a vision. but what are you going to hold yourself accountable to? What are your turn-by-turn directions? And for our guys, we call those controllables. And those are your attitude. Those are your efforts. That is the time spent to work on your craft to get to the goal that you want to achieve. And the time spent is something that guys don't quite grasp until they've developed a certain maturity. And we have guys who will put in time, but it's almost like a New Year's resolution. I'll put that in until I get a roadblock. And then I'm not going to show up at 6 a.m. anymore because I'm not starting. And I'm not going to shoot after practice because I'm not on the varsity team. And you know those things, you watch your guys develop and mature. And these guys right here, I've watched that. And I'm not going to give specifics on them because I might embarrass them, but I've watched their mindsets get to a level where they have not only accepted the challenge, but every single day they are holding themselves accountable. And they're not perfect, they're not there by any means, but they are embracing the process. And that's what we want to teach our guys, to embrace those things. And I don't like the word process because I think it gets thrown around. I think that it's too pretty of a word. We say embrace the struggle. The process is not easy. It's not fun. It's not full of glitter and all this other stuff. It is a tough, accountable, led something within yourself that you've got to be able to do. So we want our guys to buy in, all in to the controllables. And if they'll do that, you'll find the destination. And last year's team, and I'll speak very little on last year's team because it has a point to this. We had a team much different than this year. We had 7 guys that had never stepped on a varsity floor that we were going into our first practice with. And our first practice for this team is Monday. And at that time, you have so many questions, but you present your guys a challenge. You're up. It's your chance. You've got to be able to do this. And if they don't accept that challenge, our roster, our depth chart is from the senior class to the freshman class. And last year we went deep into the depth chart. We brought up Jack. Jack didn't play summer ball with us. Jack didn't play on the varsity team to start the year. Malachi was on the JV team as well to start the year. We had 2 freshmen that weren't even sniffed to be on the varsity team. One of them wasn't even playing JV to start the year. By the end of the year, we had 4 all-region players, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore, and a junior, and all 4 will be returning for this year. So those are the guys that embrace the struggle. Things are tough. Things aren't going your way. What do? Coach don't put you in the game on Friday. What are you doing at practice on Sunday? Are you coming in early so you can get minutes? Or are you going to complain about not getting minutes and not think you should work very hard for those? And those are the things that we continually push our guys, and we test them a lot. This right now we're on with the preseason, and we do a lot of running. Not as much this year as we have, but in that, our guys think it's just to get in shape. And it is. We run. We let them make decisions. I had McKinley come up the other day and wanted to run distance instead of running our shuttles because he thinks that's a little bit too hard. So he wanted to run a distance. In his mind, he's thinking we're running too severe. Well, in my mind, he said distance. I'm thinking, 4, 5, 6, 7 miles time. So we go on a 5-mile jog, and about halfway through, he said, "My gosh, Coach, I didn't realize you were talking about 5 miles. I never would have suggested this." But in that time, in those running times, we are constantly watching our guys, and I've seen growth. I'll call him out, Jack, probably more than anybody. Last year at our running drills, Jack was coming in, 2-3 seconds behind time, maybe linger on right at time. But it's those chances where you have a split second where you get to make a decision. You've got 10 seconds left, and you've got 1 down and back. You've got to hit it, and you've got to know right then you're going to make it. If you wait 3, 4, 5 steps, you're cruising in right after time. Well, now Jack's coming in 2 or 3 seconds ahead of time because he puts in his mind, and it's not his ability. It's not that his legs are stronger. It's a mental thing for a lot of these guys. So when they're tested, and I tell them, when you get tested, the more you accept it, accept the challenge, and step up to the challenge, you'll make that part of your life. You know, that's part of your pattern, and that's what we're trying to do is get these guys, you know, put them up against a challenge, and automatically, boom, it's accepted. What's a challenge, coach? Boom, accepted. And that way, that pattern plays off, and if that happens and you make that part of you, you'll accomplish your goals, you'll blow your goals out of the water, and last year's team did that. You know, we have guys, we're returning, I have every player that played in the region tournament last year, and in the sub-state game, we graduated Abaya, who was a player of the year, and Braxton, who was one of our just very tough, one of my most favorite kids to coach. Is a tough kid, didn't get a lot of recognition on the court, but came every single day to practice. Came every single day, and he was one of my favorites. But off that region team, off that sub-state team, we have a team of all returners. So now the challenge is different for them. You know, it's not you've got to earn your spot. You know, you're there. You're on the varsity team. But that's not going to keep you there. You know, you've got to earn it. You've got to deserve it. You've got to prove it every single day. Because we've got sophomores, and guess what they want? They want to play on the varsity team. We've got juniors that will not play varsity. You know what they want? They want to be on that varsity team. So our guys can't get complacent because they do realize that they've been given a little bit and they're expected to produce, but if they don't, somebody else will. And you know, it's just the nature of the sport we play. You know, I told them I can't go and speak to Kingsport and explain to them that we didn't win a game this year, but you know what? We had guys that really put in had a lot of fun. You know, they did a lot of things together. We did this. They don't want to hear that. We need results. We need you to produce, and I'm going to try to help you develop a pattern of success because that's what's going to be important to you. So for these guys, the expectations are sky high, and I couldn't be more honored to lead them because I'm going to challenge them in a way that they have never seen it. You know, and I talk to them, and I'm on them all the time and trying to critique them, but really we're developing them. You know, and we're developing, as we develop them, we're developing the guys under them. And their leadership, this is the first team I don't have to beg to go to the weight room after practice. I don't have to beg them to turn stuff in whenever we have stuff to do. This is a team that sort of understands that. And it's those little things that make our life a lot easier. You know, and I try to attribute that to a quote, and I'm not even going to try to say it because I will butcher it, but it's the maturity versus discipline. And you know, discipline is doing the right thing, what you should do over what you want to do. You know, and these guys have accepted that. Now let's take the next step, and that is where what you should do is what you want to do. And our guys, that's where we can get with this team. So we've got very few question marks, very few guys. We have one guy that's moving on the varsity team that has not played in a varsity uniform. And then, you know, we have guys that have played in big roles, and we have guys that played in small roles. We're expecting every one of them to produce. And right now I have 9 guys on the varsity roster. That could change. That could go to 12. That could go to 14. But I am perfectly content with the 9 that we have going out and producing. For a outlook on the season, I'm so excited about what we have. We're going to Knoxville for a doubleheader to start the year off in November. Obviously, our conference is going to be as tough as it can be. They're still doing the Arby's Classic, which has got some really, really good teams. We are not doing an overnight holiday trip this year because of COVID reasons. But this team's goal is going to be down the road. You know, they're going to be the team that can get us over the hump. We've made we've made the sub-state game 3 years in a row. We played a Bearden team that was unbelievably talented and got blown out 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we played that same Bearden team who had everybody back. All 5 guys are in college playing basketball. One of them's at Florida, one of them's at UT, one of them's at UNC Asheville, one of them maybe at Presbyterian, and I can't remember where the other one's at. But anyway, they had an unbelievably talented roster, and we lost that game by 3 points. Had a lead there in the last minute of the game. And then last year's team, we went down to Maryville with 2 freshmen. One of them started. How many sophomores we have? 4 sophomores, 5 on the roster, and absolutely had that game wrapped up. We were up 7 with about 3 minutes left, and then some unfortunate things occurred. that were out of our control. So this team can get us to the next step, getting through that game and compete at the highest level, and that's what our goal is with this team. And there's no denying. These guys have talent. They have the mental capacity to do it. It's just about going out and proving that. And I'm excited for this year. I'm going to hold them accountable to doing that. And there's a few things in our way, but outside of COVID, I'm not sure that we're not our biggest threat in this area. So we need to make sure that we're ready to accept that and move on with it. I'll let these guys come up here. They can stand. You can ask them questions. I know they don't really want to have a whole lot of their speeches aren't prepared, but they are awesome individuals, and I'd love for them to have a chance to share with you. Malachi, you come over and stand here. I know he's the most excited to speak to you, so let's put him on the spot. Malachi Hale, his dad's a DB grad, went down and played for Nisbet at Rome State. Malachi's going to be a junior this year. Jason's our senior. Come on up, Jason. Jason had a tough end of the year. He blew his ACL out. He was our guy inside that could block shots. He was the guy that you would watch dunk the basketball last year several times. This year we have a few more that will add to that list. Jason was really our lone dunker last year. And unfortunately, he got hurt about, 8 or 9 games left to go in the year, and it really, really hurt us. Because had we had that shot blocker rebounder, we wouldn't have played any more games because COVID canceled it, but we would have at least won our last game that we were able to play. Jack Browder. Jack is a Kingsport family. The Browder family, there's about 47 of them running around. This is another one, but Jack's one of our guys that, to be honest with you, has a chance to make a name for himself this year. I don't know that I've had a player put in more time in the gym than Jack. And it's every single weekend, multiple times throughout the week, you get a text, hey coach, you open the gym? Gym open at 6 in the morning. Hey coach, it's Sunday afternoon. Coach, it's Saturday. Yes, Jack, yes, Jack, yes, Jack. We'll get somebody in there. Yes, 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 yes. And when he goes in there, he works. A lot of guys, you open the gym up and they go and they text or they talk or they do this, but Jack works. And I hope that his game shows through that because he's a very talented kid. He'll have the opportunity to show that. And all three of these guys have talent. So I'll let you guys ask questions of them or let them share. Do you have anything you want to share? Okay. Somebody, do you want to put them on the spot?
I'll ask the young man in the middle about his rehab for his ACL tear. What that was like.
I'm almost done with it now. It was a long process, and I had to put in a lot of time for it, but it was worth it. I'm back now, almost 100%, and I'm ready.
What type of things you have to do?
It was my left ACL, so really they focused on strengthening my hips and strengthening my legs, so lots of leg presses, squats, single leg squats, mostly just strength related exercises. And now we're at the point where I'm trying to condition it and get back into shape for basketball.
Can you still dunk the ball?
On a good day I can, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who do you guys consider the team to beat in the district?
Science Hill, right? Science Hill, yes, it's Science Hill.
I've got a double question for both the coach and the players. What makes someone a good coach? And what are the qualities of being coachable?
What was the second part?
The qualities of being coachable.
Oh.
There you go.
What was your question?
Makes somebody a good coach.
Being coachable.
Being able to like communicate with your coach, have like a good connection, and being coachable is another thing. Yeah. So.
The things that I look for in players are guys that are hungry, guys that are eager to improve. You can have a lot of talent, but I was taught at a young age that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And if you have guys that aren't willing to sacrifice and put themselves aside, you can forget it. You can coach to your blue in the face. They're just going to get you beat in the end. And right now, I don't have any headaches that I can think of off the top of my head. Definitely not on varsity because they don't make it that far. But in our program right now, we don't have a lot of hard-headed individuals that we just can't coach. And I think a lot of that is the longer you're at a spot or the longer that you're instilling that culture, the less that you're going to attract. So these guys, are the epitome of a coachable kid. They work. They want to work. They want to prove themselves. And in practice, the culture is awesome. They'll go head-to-head. These two, especially Jack and Malachi, go head-to-head in every drill. The guys that I brought the last 2 years, Abaya and Ray, went head-to-head in every drill, pushing each other to the extent, knowing they're not preparing and trying to outshow one another, but they're preparing them for what they're going to come up against. And these guys have that mindset, that maturity about them, to where they see the bigger picture. It's natural. A lot of times you get guys that are focused on, I want to make you look bad. And they're so honed in on that guy, they don't see the forest for the trees.
Any scholarship offers out there for any of the players?
Right now, no. Basketball, usually you don't get offers unless you're just a stud. You won't get offers until your senior year. Right now, this is a weird situation with COVID. As you know, the NCAA and college is not counting this as a year of eligibility. So for this senior class specifically, scholarships are going to be hard to come by because they're not moving guys through the system. It will strengthen college basketball, as far as making it tougher. But if you're not one that's highly recruited, it's going to be very hard to find a spot as a freshman because that freshman that they recruited last year is a freshman again. And he's had a year under his belt in college. Sophomores are sophomores. And of course, guys will move out of a program. They won't accept that extra year. But for the most part, it's going to be a very, very slow-moving year for scholarships. The good news is, outside of Jason and Zane, obviously, in football, we have a lot of talent that has the opportunity. We have Milligans coming over to watch us play. We have Emory and Henry. He's very, very connected. I've got 4 or 5 other guys that are really close friends of mine that are staying connected. Kearns over at Appalachian State, I think he's called a couple of them. We have guys that are in contact with these guys, and we want to make sure that they get their fair share. But for this year specifically, it's going to be interesting to see how the NCAA treats max scholarships on the team. Do they expand that and allow more, or what goes on?